I love it when that happens.
Yeah, that doesn't always happen.
That flow just is so divine, divinely inspired.
It is. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the most powerful poems I think are written when people just sit down, and it's like, oh, you read it that quick, you wrote it that quick,
Mm.
you know, and people are impressed by how quick it's written sometimes.
Yeah, and I think you get in your own way when you really try to think about it and pull the words out of my brain and stick them on the page.
I mean, you know, but you know what? That's part of it though. Like, you know, um, getting it out there so people can hear it. Um, you know, but I mean that's just part of the process. You know, but right now I'm like trying to get this thing going so people can like see it, and I'm like messing it up. But like it's part of the process. But once like once we figure it out, right? Once we get it out the first time, right? It gets easier and easier and easier, and then it just flows.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not even a wonder anymore, like where that comes from. It's like, oh,
Right.
that came from me. You know,
I often,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I, for a long time, I started, I guess, channeling my poetry when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And it was really wild because it seemed to come from someplace, like it seemed to come through me. So that's one of the things that is different between just writing to write and poetry for me, is that there's a flow that happens and it literally comes through me. And I had an interview at some point and I explained this, and I feel like I explained that I felt like it came from a place through my DNA. Like
Mm.
maybe these were inspirations that were like very ancient and messages that were very ancient but universal and old. And that set me on a path of self-discovery that I won't get into exactly right now, but part of it is genetic, I found out later. And there is possible to have that innate thing, that innate thing that just comes through the genes and it comes right through. But the bottom line is, I found out I have, on one side of my genetics is from Somalia. And Somalia was known as the land of bards. And so when I discovered that, I was like, wow, so somehow it does come through. So I don't know, I just thought I'd share that little discovery that I thought was really interesting.
Interesting.
I want to touch on something before. I know, Andrea, you have to go a little bit.
I do, but I want to hear you first.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before you go, I'm gonna read a poem, but I want to I don't know what happened here. This thing came up talking about something else at 10 to 1. I'm like, what's going on with WebEx? The other thing too with WebEx is um some people like have a learning curve with that, and I think sometimes it's like the fear of something new. But anyway, I'm looking at some poems here. So the question I have for you, like, there's a lot going on right now. I was looking at this video earlier, and it was like all the states with all the protests going on, you know, in different states and stuff. And I was just wondering, like, how are you all affected by what's going on? Andrea, I want to refer to you first because you're our elder right now. You know,
Yes, I am.
I know you do work where you're at to address, you know, systematic racism and stuff like that. So
Definitely, yeah.
I was just wondering, like, how, you know, from where you're at, you know, how are you affected by all this?
Well, I'll tell you, I was just thinking a few minutes ago as we were talking about writing poetry and expressing things that way, that I really should have thought about writing some poetry or just writing in the past month, because after George Floyd's murder and Ahmaud Arbery and all of it, I was just a wreck. I listened to the news. I didn't listen that much because it just was so upsetting, but I also couldn't stay away from it. And I found myself in tears every day. I would just burst into tears at some little thing related to racism. Uh, and it was overwhelming. And I think doing some writing could have probably helped me come into balance with it all sooner. I'm doing much better now. I've got a lot of spiritual practices that really help me, and now I can be really present with it without allowing it to overwhelm me. So that's a good thing, because I'm not really any good to anybody when I'm overwhelmed.
I was like, the truth was all right.
What was that?
I said it's the truth for us all.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey Gwen, how is this affecting you?
Oh, it's initially, I mean, this whole thing that's happening right now on this planet is such a powerful thing. It's bringing up so much. It's bringing so many deep wounds up for each and every one of us, and so many truths are coming to light. And I feel really sorrowful for the generation that was born like in 2001 and is like now turning 18 and becoming adults, because they were born around 9/11. They have had absolutely no concept of living on this planet or even in this powerful country and feeling safe. So it's been hugely impactful for me as a role model. And it's been hugely impactful for me in terms of just bringing myself back to my practices and staying grounded within, and just really being able to be in the present and keep that balance of tending to myself and nurturing those wounds that get brought up by all of this, and also being there for my family. So it's been extremely impactful. I have felt wildly like in a sacred ragey kind of way inspired, and yet I still feel there's a call to be quiet in a way. I'm feeling the repression. I'm feeling like the suppression, I guess. But I feel like it's just it's an important time right now where, you know, a month from now we could be looking at a totally different reality of living in existence, and it's not necessarily all bad. You know, it's a time for change.
It is.
So in terms of like my social life or anything, I'm you know, I'm a hiker and an artist and you know, I have a spiritual practices. I garden a lot and I spend a lot of time in the out of doors. And so it hasn't really changed my lifestyle very much because much of that I can do solitary. So socially, it hasn't, it has been a little bit impactful, but not for me as much as like, you know, the young kids or the young people, the younger people, people who are extroverts or people who are relying on, you know, the rhythm of more of an external life. So, yeah. But at the same time, I've had moments during all of this of just clarity in terms of like my upbringing. I have a child who's biracial, so it's been incredibly impactful here, you know. So, you know, it's, you know, safety is always the first thing and the most fundamental and most important thing. And yeah, so home, you know, like the impact it's really had on me is tending to the home and the earth that we live on. It feels like the most natural thing. Roots, you know, where do we come from? What is this land that I grow food on? What sacred land is this? You know, what land did I come from? You know, what's been lost? You know, what's been discovered since we've been here in this country, my family, and like it just goes so deep. It goes really deep. But, you know, I think about generations, you know, and, you know, I think of my grandmother and, you know, like her family coming here to give them a better future. And it's just, they really were faced with like a lot of suppression and oppression and, you know, just forget the old country, you know, we're American now, you know, so that has always left me feeling like I wanted to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I've been feeling very reverent and connected with my grandmother. And so, that has an impact on how, I am, you know, just honoring just, you know, my daughter's biracialness and the realizations that she's had in terms of like most of her life, it's like, why does she feel so different and like she's not treated the same, but she's white passing. And so that's, and I won't speak too much because that's for her to speak, but it's just been an incredible time. And I've seen a lot of division, and I've seen a lot of coming together, and I've seen a lot of community and, you know, incredible people who are on the right side of things, and they just are just such amazing people, like truly like, you know, earth angels.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been wildly inspired and deeply sorrowful and also, you know, the gardening thing, I mean, it's like I just need to grow food, and like whoever wants to like check it out, you know, they can see it happening, and that's how we plant the seeds of self-sufficiency and getting out of this corporate consumerist capitalistic illusion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Are you growing food on your own land or?
Well, I'm growing food in the complex that I live in right in front of my house, and I'm growing it in pots. And then I have a plot at a local community garden that is organic, and so I'm growing food there. And then I also have another little garden out back of where I live, and that's kind of like a work in progress. And then I'm also experimenting with hydroponic growing.
Wow.
In case things get really hairy and I have to grow my own food inside, or, where it can't be contaminated, or, I mean, I was a single mom and I'm still a single mom, but, there are a lot of single parents in this world, men and women. And, but one of the things that I did was I grew my own food. And although I had to work really hard to do that, it meant that I didn't have to go to the grocery store and spend big amounts of money on quote unquote organic food, because I was growing it and preserving it and saving a bunch of money. And a lot of people didn't do that where I grew up, or those practices got forgotten, and they really wanted to forget, like, the farmers that came here, like my family did from Italy, and even they themselves wanted to forget that life. But fortunately, I was interested and I was open, and my grandmother taught me things, and so those little ways got passed on. And well, I'm probably getting off topic. I forget what you even asked me, Marie.
I was just
But
letting you talk. Sometimes that's what people need to do. Some people need to
yeah.
talk. So we talked about the I my question was, how are the issues today affecting you? And I mean that it all
Yeah.
relates, because we never know where this is gonna go. You know.
Right.
I mean, so one of the things that a couple of things that I had to share today was this white dude talking about this white supremacist.
Oh,
Uh, they're calling for like war and stuff like that, and they start attacking people.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Wow.
because some of the buildings got defaced in their area. Um,
Right.
so it's um,
So it's like you have to face that stuff down. Like, it's like, face it. Like,
yeah, you got but
really.
they got one of the most muscle bound dudes I've ever seen in my life to like get on and like try to like intimidate people. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I was just like, damn, I'm gonna have to start doing more push-ups. That's a crazy dude.
Right.
um, I don't know, man. It just truly it's truly frustrating, you know. But we gotta do what we gotta do, you know, and we gotta hang on, and we can't allow ourselves to be intimidated,
no.
because
Yeah.
once we allow ourselves
Yeah.
to be intimidated, it's
Mm. Yeah. The days of intimidation are I think are coming to pass. It really feels like this has been culminating for a long time, like on so many levels, even with the COVID, you know. Um, I'm I'm really hoping that this can make all of what's happening right now and the changes that we're about to see in the next 6 months um, are sweeping, so that it looks almost nothing like it did before, and that there's a new system.
So these people are calling for another civil war right now.
The white supremacists?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really scary.
It is scary, and I do think that we are moving towards something completely different, but I don't think it's going to be here in the next 6 months. It would be lovely if it were, but but I do think that underneath all of this turmoil and death and loss and sorrow, that something new and really challenging to our capitalist racist culture, really shifting that, is in process. I absolutely believe that's true.
Yes.
We have Dominica. Dominica just came in. How you doing, Dominica? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm doing right, and my name is Dominica.
Dominica, I apologize.
No, it's fine. I know I just changed you, so don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
Maurice, I am really going to have to go. It's been really lovely talking with you and with you, Gwen. Maybe I'll meet you one of these days. I live in Northampton too.
All right. We could have a social distance poets meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Yes, good to meet you. And I will see you again, Maurice. I'm sorry I didn't get to hear you read, but I think it really is time for me to say goodnight for now.
I mean, this is gonna.
So much for sharing.
I'm gonna upload this video, so it'll be there.
Okay. Great.
And I'll make sure I'm gonna put it up on the website too. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube, and then I'm gonna link it to the website so you can go see it.
Great.
So it doesn't just stay on Facebook.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
I hope you have a good night.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Gwen, Dominica.
Hi, Dominica.
Hey, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Hey,
I'm great. How are you? Surviving.
I'm gonna just break for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna play some music. I'm trying to help somebody get into the room. Can you guys just give me a moment?
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I can look for my headphones. That way I can hear and talk
Okay.
correctly. Okay, give me one moment.
All the joy that you bring, I love see your pretty smile, cause you brighten up my day. I wanna hold you in my arms and spend the night away. It might be another day, but I'ma let you know it's real. You feel something special, babe, and I'ma let you know the deal. I don't wanna let you go and walk right out of my life. Oh no, I always keep missing you, even when you're not around. Oh, no matter where you are, we touch it so hard. Oh, I ain't going nowhere. I just stay. The biggest thing away. I will hold you down. I will hold you down. One day I'm down in New Orleans to the market. I said, man, I'm going down to the market, but I'm in New Orleans and think I take me a little lady down there with me. Said, no, man, don't take no lady with you. All the town's money stay on the lady. So I did. I went on down to New Orleans. said, Mom, would you like to bring me through the Mardi Gras? The hell yeah, I like to go to Mardi Gras. I said, well, if he's doing Mardi Gras, I'm gonna show you where I'm housing at. I'm housing around here in this motel, 2 stories up. I want to show you some of my sexy dynamite. So I texted on around there, lights up there, and I took off. I got 10 pounds of sexy dynamite. And I took off my undershirt. I said, I got 20 pounds of sexy dynamite in my chest. And I dropped my pants. 80 pounds of sexy dynamite. And I dropped my drawers. She jumped out the window. I went around there and called. I said, what's wrong, baby? She said, get your hands off me. I said, what's wrong, baby? She said, get your hands off me. I said, what's wrong, baby? She said, get your hands off me. When I seen that little sharp fuse, I thought you were going to blow up in a minute. Visions cloudy at this time. Sexy dynamite is blowing my mind. I like the way he talks, he's smart and he's cute. He's got whirlwind touches I can't compute. I think this love I'm best into tonight. Don't you want to just get out the fight? 'Cause I just want to get out the fight. Sexy dynamite, sexy dynamite. I think this love I'm destined to ignite. Don't you want to just get out the fight? 'Cause I just want to get out the fight. Sexy dynamite, sexy dynamite. Every time I see you looking at me, it's like I can't see what you actually see. And with my eyes I see it's actually true. You want me just as bad as I want you. I think this love I'm destined to ignite. Don't you want to just get out the fight? 'Cause I just want to get out the fight. Sexy dynamite, sexy dynamite. I think this love I'm destined to ignite. Don't you want to just get out the fight? 'Cause I just want to get out the fight. Sexy dynamite, sexy dynamite. Let's stop playing games, it's time to be back. There's no one to blame, we both will be glad. Hoping you will come on over tonight. 'Cause I crave to hold you. I think this love I'm destined to ignite. Ooh, don't you want to just get out the fight? Ooh, 'cause I just want to get out the fight. Sexy time, sexy time. I think this love I'm destined to ignite. Ooh, don't you want to just... Samantha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
So we a little bit earlier we were talking about Gwen was in, Andrea was in, and we was just talking about like we was reading some poetry, and we started discussing how the protests are affecting people and stuff like that.
The what?
The protests around the world.
Oh yeah.
You know how people feel about it. You know how it's affecting them. Andrew, I know she's been a lifetime, ally in support of change and working against systematic racism. And Gwen, she was speaking about her experiences with it and stuff like that, and so we ended out the first half with that. And right now, somebody's munching, making me hungry.
I'm sorry, it was my frontal leaf. My bad.
No, it's all right. I want to leave and go get something to eat.
Okay.
So
I think that it just needs to be controlled. I just think that it's a good thing because it's like don't stop until the change happen. But I feel like it should be a controlled thing by a group of fathers and mothers. And I feel like because these are the people that's losing their children, you know what I mean? The brothers and sisters, they go a little crazy. They start want to retaliate. They want to do all this extra shit. Their friends come in, amp them up. Like it just goes crazy from there because the younger generation don't know how to deal with certain things. And because we've seen so much happen through over the courses of the years, like we know where we need to be at. But it's like give us a chance to get there. But they're so ignorant about it. They want justice right now. So I feel like if it was orchestrated a little better and if it was music playing just before this protest come in, like real peaceful music. What happened to We Are the World? Like play that song for the other day. I was in Brooklyn and I played that song and every neighbor came out their house and was waving at me. Every car drove past was waving at me. I was like, wow, that is crazy because I've been wanting to hear this song blast on the speaker in the yard for a long time. And this is the effect that it have on them. Wow. So imagine a protest. You know what I mean? We all here for the same reason. And so we want change. So I think that, playing positive music like that would influence the crowd to be more caring, loving about the situation opposed to angry. You feel me?
No, I hear you. I do want to say that every protest that I've been in so far have been extremely peaceful. But I do also want to add that every protest that I've seen online that has turned violent, when I go back and I look at the beginning,
Right.
look at like how police agitated people.
Right.
Exactly.
Because if you go back a month ago, where all these white folks were out and with all these machine guns and stuff like that, talking about they didn't want to be inside and open up the government and stuff like that. You didn't have cops throwing stuff at them and agitating them. You know what I'm saying? But you have people here who don't have guns, who are not violent, right? And then you also have the fact that like the agitated instigators. In Minneapolis, you had a cop go and bust the windows on the AutoZone, but that was blamed on the protesters. You had many protesters taking videos and pictures of people spray painting the walls and stuff like that and trying to blame it on Black Lives Matters, and so now a lot of this stuff is being blamed on Black Lives Matters or people in protests or the anti-police brutality protests,
I think it goes both ways. I think it goes
I
both
think
ways. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to interject. I was going to say that I think that it does go both ways, but I think even before it goes anywhere, that it needs to start with healing. There's never music. I definitely understand that standpoint. But again, like with the statement that was made earlier, put the music on, everybody will be focused on that, this, and then when that music goes off, because it's just a mask and a cover-up. I think the original thing needs to start with healing, which is that we've never got to heal as a people, as a generation, or as a race. So without healing, internal healing, we're never going to get the outcome that we needed because we've never even been able to start where it needs to be started at, which is healing. In the communities with the young folks wanting instant gratification and saying that they're kind of rah-rah and this, that, and the third, I absolutely agree. And that is because their ancestors or their hierarchies before them, meaning their parents, their grandparents, their aunts, uncles, cousins, did not have the right upbringing and did not have the right skill set to give them. So they already are discounted, and they are already gypped in the households, the upbringing in the communities that they are already in, that they're living in impoverished, already living in discounted rates. So they are already discounted, so I can't really factor in the calculation on them, because in the households and the upbringing that they were in, they're already being, they were already dealt a sad hand. I'm a product of I'm a product of a situation like that of my upbringing, but I am not the aftermath of it. I've changed my life. I've changed. I didn't let my environment make me. I made my environment. So before we can even get with them, I think we got to get with the adults, because the adults set the tone. The adults are not healed. The adults are leading the way. Kids follow. So they follow. You got to be a leader. To be a leader, you got to be a follower. Everybody has to be teachable, and these adults are not being teachable. So if they haven't led the way, there's no way we can go ahead and intercept and break those cycles. I believe that we have to start snatching these people up, not snatching them up physically, like kidnapping, but like taking, the people that we do see that are young, that we can talk to in the moment, right then and there. Give them a different outlook. Let them voice their opinion. Yeah, they're screaming and hollering, but if me or you, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, ma'am, but the lady who spoke before me, if me or Pam, yes, ma'am. So if me and Miss Pam go out and we're in the middle of a protest, or maybe we're just going to the store and happen to go through the protest, we might see a young man or a young lady that we see that they're upset, they're crying, or maybe someone over here wants to fight or wants to start actual, physical thing. We might be able to interject and talk to them one-on-one, because we have a different spirit. We have a different heart. We have a different mindset. Now, what's in their household is going to be counterproductive of what we do when they got to return back to where they're being programmed the incorrect way. So no matter how many times we try to correct it by reprogramming, until they actually start deprogramming, it's just going to be a ongoing cycle. I think they need to start giving out some healing. They need to have some psychiatrists, some counselors, some wellness coaches out on the line.
That's right.
Yeah, they need to have them out on the line and let them know you need to talk to somebody, step out of the protest line. That's right. I'm here for you. Talk to me. What you want to do. I'm taking classes right now just so I can, utilize that, because I'm like, sometimes you got to take a person. I'm seeing people pass out. I came from Minnesota. I was there when he got killed. George Floyd. I had to pack my stuff up because I was coming back home to Cincinnati. Then I came down back home to Cincinnati. The riots was here from Minnesota. I just left the riots, come to the riots here. So I'm like, okay, so then I just left last week again with the Breonna Taylor thing in Kentucky. I've been going to every protest that I can get to. And people are passing out at these protests. They're lethargic. They're tired. They don't have enough water, but they're working out of a mindset, in my opinion, where they want to change these laws, but they're actually working out of emotion. So they're not logically on point.
Right. They telling that, and what's so crazy is that they're telling truth, but not in a skillful way. They're just telling truth. And a lot of truth hurts, but it's like how you tell it. It's it's a way of telling it. The crowd is reacting from that. And if they know how to cope with certain things, you're right. They wouldn't have to be so rageous about certain things. They would see the common sense in us moving forward as a unit, opposed to, but that's you hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
I'm gonna say this because I know I've been protesting for like 20 years and marching and stuff like that, and
hallelujah.
I'm gonna say this from what I see. Like, everybody comes from where they're at. I don't know. I mean, we taught that, like, if we format it like this, it sounds professional. It sounds this. It sounds that, right? But it's like, some people talk, well, if you start your business like that, it's going to be more successful. And then you have this person come along, never took a business class, start a business, and they're more successful than those that took business classes. You have people that don't even read English who build more successful businesses and organizations and don't even know how to read or write, right? So
Marlo Brown told me that. Sorry to cut you. He told me that. Go ahead.
So maybe it's not just one way. Maybe it's a compilation of all of them, because I've heard some very, very distinguished speakers come out of these protests.
That's right.
I've heard people who we would consider as not knowing how to talk, but when you actually listen to what they have to say, you listen to the message. Sister Gwen, you was talking about healing, and I was thinking the other day, I was like, I think these protests is part of that healing process, because you get to a point where, a long time people just like accepting it and accepting it because it's like nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm wrong. I'm not worthy of this, right? Till one day,
Right.
enough is enough, and people like, I don't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
that pretty much was the start of this whole thing. Like, you know what? I
No
might
more.
not be this, I might not be that, but we did not deserve this, right?
That's
And
right.
then, people start talking, they start communicating. They're like, well, wait a minute, we don't deserve this either. We do deserve that, right? So throughout this
Right.
thing, right, there is a healing process going on. You know what I mean? I see white, black, Latino, Asian, people
Yep.
walking together all
Yeah.
around the world, right? Something that's
Yeah.
one of the ladies that was just here, she's like in her 70s, maybe a little bit older. I don't want to, make her mad, you know what I'm saying? But and then I was speaking to someone who was 89 years old the other day. She said, "I've never seen anything like this in the world." Right?
Yeah.
And but like, so like, I'm not criticizing it. Here's why I'm not criticizing it, right? And not because I've, it's like the DNC march, the Republican march, putting my body on cars for people so we can go by peacefully and stuff like that, right? Um, but because of the fact that, like, when I don't have the answers and other people have coming up with the answers, I need to listen more than criticize, right? And sometimes the child does teach the adult, right? Because they're so innocent,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
when the father chooses not to come home, and the son goes to find out what it's like to get a job and bring the groceries home, then you have a dude down the street saying, "Son, you don't need to do that." No, I do, because this is my home, this is my reality. I need to bring the food home. He's learning how to be
Yeah.
a man. You know what I'm saying? These children in the street, they're learning how to be adults. More than that, more than they're learning how to be adults, they're learning to be leaders. Let me tell you this. I saw a video the other day where this white dude went into a compound, right, of anti-police brutality protesters and Black Lives Matter protesters, right? He went in with the American flag and his red MAGA hat, right? Somebody took the flag from him, but people were guarding him. Why? Because they were like, he deserves his freedom of speech as well, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
in the end, he didn't get beat up. When people went to go after him, people put their bodies around him, right, to protect him, right? And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, wait a minute. With all this criticizing that we're doing, we're not looking at the fact that, like, there's a lot of love that's going on, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, there is
That's
healing
right.
going on, right? And, there's people out there that are protecting who we think is the enemy, right? You know what I'm saying? And they're having conversations about it, right? Why'd you do that? I did it because of this. Okay, blah blah blah. No, okay, right. So they're out there to sharpen their minds and stuff. I know this because we've been to many protests. This is what's going on, right? Um, and then there's people
Right.
like, man, I really should have bashed that dude. And the other person saying like, okay, let's say you did that. Like, what would be the outcome of that, right? And how does that change anything? You know what I'm saying? And then they got to answer that question. And when they realize they don't know the answers to that, then they got to do some more listening. You know what I'm saying? And figure things out, right? So I just want to share those things because I think we're all touching the nail on the head. Um, but I want us to, like, we're saying some things, but we're missing a lot of things that are actually happening and stuff like that. So um,
Right.
right now it is time for the young people to stand up, because
Yeah.
I know people, listen, I know people who, I've been in recovery for like 26 years, and I know people that are getting into recovery and stuff like that, and they're like, yo, these people need to shut up and go back home. And I'm like, well, why do you feel that way, right? And then I have to explain to him why they were out on the street selling drugs. It comes from back in Ronald Reagan, Nixon times when they wanted to like fight there was the Contra, the Iran Contra. They needed money to
Yeah.
fight that because Congress said no. So they started filling the black communities with crack cocaine to to
Yeah.
fund that war, right? And that caused a lot of their parents, their grandparents not to be at home, right? You know what I'm saying? Caused a lot
Right.
of people my age and older than me not to be at home, but to be on the streets doing drugs, right?
Because of how the system was designed, so
Exactly.
it
Uh-huh.
forces you to go that way, that route,
Right.
take
Ex-
that route, because it's easier to go sell a bag of weed or sell some drugs just
right.
to get that money than to go and ask for a real job where they're always putting you down. Like from the time they pick their head up and see your skin color, they like, well, okay, where you already know they're not gonna get. You already know you're not gonna get a job either because you have a record, child support, or it's always something that's holding a person down in this system because it's how it's designed. So I think it's the jail system is really what the problem is. The
Yeah.
problem as far as the
Privatized.
jail, when I was in Bedford Stuyvesant, I met a guy, a producer, can't say his name, but he said to me, he told us the story about how these sectors came in and they was in this brownstone, and they were all, had shades on and black suits and white ties, white collar dudes, and they was like saying that how these producers need to start recruiting these little boys by having them sing about the drugs and the jewelry and the sex and all of that stuff sells. So, and he went to walk out, and two guys approached him with a gun and told him to have a seat. And he was like, oh wow, it was a real serious meeting, because he said that, he didn't even, and then later on he was able to let it out, like maybe 15-20 years later, he let this story out because he told everyone about it. But it was just like to a point where he was there with other producers who had to sign this contract because they wanted to fuel the jails. They wanted to, this is 1989, 1990, they wanted to fuel the jails with the the all of this stuff that uh brainwashes the children. Because music, they used to say, you remember back in the days, all our younger youths used to memorize them words real easy. That's how they caught them, because they said, well, you put out this type of music, change the way of thoughts, and so now they have this passion. So it's like a thug passion, right? That's where that come from. It's like, you out there, you grinding for your family, you doing the right thing. So it became a whole new culture. It became a whole new world. You feel me? So some people don't know nothing else about that other than that world, and they would die for that
Uh-huh.
world. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I mean,
but
but
show
the
them. So
prisons,
sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but show them something better than that world, and stop making
Yeah.
their world so suppressed. You know what I mean? Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
And so
Right.
like you were saying, like the prison system, but the prison system is built around policy. I mean, this whole system is built around policy, right? And like this whole thing needs to, like, while this whole thing needs to come down, something else needs to come up. You know what I'm
That's
saying? And
right.
that's one
Right.
that's one of the reasons why I do poetic recovery, is because of like we need that healing. And I've been doing it for over 10 years, right? Because like look, I knew that we need this, right? If you go and you look like how old this account is, and you look like how much stuff I've been posting, like this is happening. This is going to happen. And people are like, yo, man,
Yeah.
you're a racist. I'm like, how am I racist when I'm black? But like even still though, like I can see this. This is going on right now. Like white supremacists are building right now. They're like, nah, man, you're just paranoid and this and that. Like, boom, 10, 20 years later,
No, they are.
here we at, right? You know what I'm saying? And so like, um, I've been building poetic recovery because we need cultural healing. We need to connect. We need to, like, once we get a white person, black person, Latino person in the room, and we're talking about, you know, the issues that we're going through. We have a indigenous person coming to the room, African person, Latino person coming to the room, and we're talking about all this stuff, right? Guess what happens, right? All the stuff that we're thinking about begins to, like, disappear, and the truth, right, starts to connect us. It becomes the foundation of what we of bringing us together, right? And then, you know, allowing the person to read and listen to what that person's reading, and then waiting our turn allows us to learn how to start listening to each other, even if we don't like what we have to see, what each other has to say. We take turns communicating it, right? So, like, I knew that, you know, Poetic Recovery is what we need. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it's here. That's why it's still here. And we got, if you go into the group, we got 2,000 people, and it's becoming more active. We got people coming in from Burundi, Tanzania, Senegal, right? We got Latino people, we got black folks, and people starting to communicate and really share their work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, just get it out. Like, get it out. You know, let's connect. You know, let's continue to build. You know, so, like, I think we're all right. I think we're all touching on some really, really important things. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Excuse me. Can I say something? I think they should turn the jails into um like schools. Like, I think they should turn the jails into some type of um uh facility where they can go in there and learn something, do a trade, like a trade school or something
oh,
like that.
I'm with you. That won't happen until, though, people force that change, though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
It will and it will if it was to be even talked about, or even written in, I think that, and we got petitions for that. That would happen, because you look at it, majority of the people that we're talking about, that we're getting assigned these petitions, are will be either have family or are victims of that.
well, what a lot of people don't know. I'm gonna read a poem after this, but what a lot of people don't know is where what the drug policy centered around. And the reason why I bring up the drug policy is because that's why so many people are in these prisons. Um, um, so there was this rat study, right? There was a rat in a cage. The scientists put a rat in a cage, put 2 bottles of water, 2 bottles, one with water, one with drugs and water, right? And the rat went to the bottle with drugs and water. And based on that study, there was like, oh yeah, drugs, when you put everybody in prison. But what people also don't tell you is that Biden, since Nixon, has been building this case of building these stringent laws, right, on drugs, right, for drug offenders, right, and the stuff was basically built, and this is data. Go research it, right. It was created to imprison hippies and black people, right. Um, and it's been moving all along up until Clinton. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so in 2018, a scientist said, "Well, wait a minute. There's something faulty about that last study." And he was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" He was like, "Well, you had a rat in the cage with a bottle on the bottom of water, but the rat had nothing to do. So what they did, it's called Rat Park. Go, look it up. It's called Rat Park. What they did was they took this. What they did was they created a bigger cage, right? They put rats in there who was like previously on drugs with other rats and stuff like that. They gave them things to do, like a freaking park, right? You gave them stuff to do, and then they added the 2 bottles, the one with water and drugs, right? And guess how many rats went to the one with the water and drugs?
All of them.
No,
All
none,
of
none of them.
none.
None of them went to the bottle with water and drugs, because they had each other, they had community, they had things to do, ways to be productive. And,
That's
and
right.
because of that study, you have like 10 or more countries that have like at least legalized all drugs or decriminalized most drugs, right? And what they found that when they did that, right, they found that the worst crimes dropped dramatically, like seriously dropped.
Right.
And so what they were able to do was take that money and put it into housing, educational programs, and things like that, right? And their society's getting better, but there's some places that have like issues with people on marijuana and weed, right? But you know,
Can't
So
talk about
I
that.
but
can I
anyway,
interject? It's Gwen, and I just wanted to say something. Like one of the things that's important to understand, I feel like for me, like the prison system is a for-profit system.
oh yeah,
Somebody somebody owns these somebody owns that jail, and those policies have been built around a money-making um,
System, yep.
situation, and so the need is deeper. The need is deeper. The need is deeper in terms of uncovering things and investigating and really bringing things to the light and educating the public about the prison system. And you know, my earlier poem that I wrote about was pretty much about that. You know, there aren't really as many rich people that go to jail as poor,
oh
and
absolutely,
yet they're profiting off of that. And so everybody gets to have a job. You know, the judge is making his money and he's putting this poor person in jail, and they're making money off of that somehow. And you know, I mean, so my feeling is that to deprivatize and also we keep saying that we want to educate people in prison, but I actually think that it's the other way around. I think it's the other way around when it comes to humanity, and that's the type of education we need, is a humane an education of humanity, of empathy and compassion and understanding, and really being open to really like feeling those sorrows together, because we're all human and we've all felt this deep sorrow. Some of us, like in my case, I'm farther removed from my biracialness, but my daughter, you know, having my daughter brings that back to the fore for me. And you know, it also, you know, this has been all very triggering, because I can see clearly as I've been educated through the process of this entire unfolding that my grandmother was quote unquote Americanized, and she wanted to forget her culture and she felt shame about it. And like, I just think that we need to have a universal collective approach for humanity. It's for humanity, all of humanity. And we need to deprivatize the system and educate on all levels. So that's just, you know, like, I think also the other thing is like private universities. I don't know how I feel about that either. I think that everyone should have an equal right to university. Everyone. It should not be, you know, it should not be, you know, because, you know, only just, it shouldn't be like locking young people down right now into student loans, and it shouldn't be,
Right.
there's just, yeah, I mean, it's really a bad time for that. And,
All
you know,
across the board, it should be free.
yeah. Yeah, and also I just wanted to comment about how, you know, that's really powerful, Maurice, what you were talking about when they surrounded that man, because he was expressing himself. You know, whether everyone agreed to it or not, and all we can do is lead by example. We need to lead by example of like just having the strength and together and community and just having a lot of love and just love of self, because the healing, it's just deep healing. It's deep. It's really deep.
It's a lot of mental health going on too. Sadly, that needs to be addressed because they have to. Yeah, it's
definitely.
I'm I'm on someone's page who we used to be friends, but I unfriended them a while ago because it just became clear to me that, like, yeah. So I'm reading this this meme that they have. It says, "Don't get it twisted. I believe all lives matter, regardless of color. However, that belief is null and void if you invade my home and endanger my family." Right. So I'm like, part of me, like, I'm looking like different angles of this meme, right? And I'm like, well, why do you use like someone endangering your family to back up the whole all lives matters thing, right? Like, everyone knows that, if our family's in danger, we're going to defend ourselves, right? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But like, that's not what the argument's about. The argument's about access to resources, right? But they make it about, hey, if you endanger my family, like, the great thing is, like, you have a family and your family's in the comfort of that nice, beautiful home. Whereas, like, so many people who never want to come in and endanger your family will not know what it is to own a home because of that because of systematic racism. And I'm like, I'm just looking at that and I'm like, I just don't have the energy to like have certain people in my space right now. It's like I don't know. It's like we have to choose very carefully right now, like who we have in our space, because, and usually I tell people, like, don't get rid of people, like, and allow yourself to grow spiritually, and people won't be able to affect your foundation like that. But it's like there is so much coming at us right now that we definitely um, have to guard, ourselves. But I want us to get us back into the poetry aspect. I want us to move us there. I have someone coming on right now who's actually homeless right now, and she's going to be telling us her story.
Right.
And this dude, like, she's I was having her contact someone so she gets support in her area, and she can't because she doesn't have Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like, the Wi-Fi signal isn't that strong. So I'm like trying to get her to get to some place where she can actually tell her story. She's a really beautiful person. I've gotten to know on Facebook over the years, and I'm trying to bring attention to her story so she can get some support. But hopefully by the time we leave, she'll be able to get on and stuff like that. But this poem is called "Hating Dad is My Soul's Prison." And I wrote this piece. She started it. Wait a minute, hold up. Let me start all over. Oh, this piece. Oh my God, it's so weird. Oh my Lord. She started it. She brushed against me accidentally, maybe purposefully. Her softness strangled sadness, birthed chaos, stirred up a twister of emotion. My vulnerability was at stake, my soul's awake, on guard. My hello shook, my weakness viable now. I walked away. Like my mom did so many years ago, I dodged a bullet, dodged another chance to be like my dad leaves me on this island, the president of a fearful nation. There are millions. A lot shoved in a lot shoved in pavilions on rafts of denial, slowly dying. I swear I'm going to say hello next time.
deep.
This one right here got me deleted off of people's Facebooks. It's called So Many Kings and Queens. So many kings and queens, if everyone is a king or queen who is going to heal the sick, the spirit, and the mind. If everyone's a king or queen, who's going to paint the past, present, and the future? If everyone is a king or queen, who's going to plant the seeds, mature the plants, and harvest? If everyone is a king or queen, who will pay the taxes, pave the road, and defend the nation? If everyone is a king or queen, who will solve the problems, that blind us to solutions, probe the galaxy for new worlds, comb the sea for new cures? If everyone is a king or queen, what is special about it? Too many kings and queens, and some can barely read. You might not like this, but I have a need to question why so much nobility and so little care. There's a race to the top, but there are more cliches than nation building. It's not profit. It's not profit. It's not prophetic building. Come into your own, no title, defined as me. If there was one, I'd be a healer. See, I've given someone of my last. I've given someone of my last. I've given my last to some and had little to none. Read poems to the confused, to amuse the heart, to distract despair while they broke free. I'd rather secure our lands, perform for the people, argue political candidates on the side of the have-nots, rather than too many goods that rot. If there are too many if there are too many kings and queens, I take that to mean everyone wants riches, willing to share little, come from a wealthy home, versed in the art of war. Every kingdom consumes one more, but how can one lead a campaign with no one to command? When I raise my children, it will be to understand that she can remake the world with her mind and hands if we have teams in our communities we can work with. Before we can become kings and queens, we must learn how to lead a team.
Nice.
I'm gonna pass the
Nice.
mic. Who's up
Thanks for
next?
sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I'm gonna pass the mic. Who's up next? Dominica?
Negative.
You
I
said
don't even have anything.
all right. Samantha, you got something for us?
Mm, I'm just off the top of my head. School of Thoughts prioritize to equality for all. Um, I don't know.
And that,
Address and develop. I have things that I'm just when it comes like 2 years ago, I was talking to Dr. Zreich and the superintendent at Holyoke, and I was working with the kids and the school department, and it was just like there was so much stuff that I suggested that he did as far as talking to because these superintendents, they have a lot of they had before COVID, should I say, a lot of they had a lot of access to a lot of resources and a lot of and all most of the children because they came together. And so when you do as a superintendent, you have each school do orchestrate them in a certain. I think that speaking to him enlightened me on a lot of things, but then I guess there was other people on the other side that was kind of like stopping him from do certain things because what the parents wanted is not what he couldn't fulfill all the needs of the parents. And I was seeing that he tried, but it wasn't really successful.
mhm.
Opposed to now, 2 years later, which was not even 2 years ago, it was like 3.5, 4 years ago, which is now they're trying to do a lot of things that I suggested, that because coming from the city, you see a lot of things happen with these kids in school, man. And it's a lot of it's 3 million children each year being bullied, committing suicide from
Yeah.
bullying. And that's a sad case to me. That's what I would really try to, I have been, I've done a lot of work in Holyoke, and ever since I moved to Springfield, I've kind of got involved with a few people too, and went to some meetings and before COVID, and it was really interesting because I went to Boston for the Fund Our Future for the children, and it was very interesting. I met a lot of interesting people, and it's just that that fight right there will never end until the school system do something about it. And it's the people that runs the school, because they like back to Dr. Reich, he has so much power, and he always wanted me to be a parent to help orchestrate the other things, projects for other parents and stuff like that. But it seemed like after a while it just you lose the momentum, because not everybody is on board, but they say they want the change, but they're not there to make the change. So it was
Right.
a handful of children, a handful of parents that would go to the meetings to, and I don't know, it just, school right now needs to be a little bit more, whatever they're going to do, they need to get it right, because these kids are losing out on a lot,
Yeah.
and it's going to get worse.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if you can put that into a poem.
No, not right now.
Let me give you a minute, and let me give you a minute, and let me see what you can come up with. How about that?
I can't. I can't.
Did you
I
say?
can't.
Did you say
I,
the key word?
um, I think 40 makers with a tool with can help. I don't know. I can't really think of all the words that I want, but 40
No,
makers.
don't think of it right now. Go
40.
back.
I think yeah, I had a thought a while back, where if I got 40 parents from each school, we all have a certain tool we can utilize, we can help each other, teach each other, and be kind of a little bit more socially rounded, where we can move forward to help the new, the next generation. So if, and that's how, that was like just, something that I had written down, that I always thought about, with the fam, when schools start back, if it do resume in that way, I would really like to speak to, go to schools and speak to like 40 parents that are really about it, and to make them get on board with what's going on, so they can kind of, because there's a lot of kids that's not being able to get to school because they don't have no communication with other parents. um and there's a lot of issues that's happening that the parents is not really paying attention to, because life is so, crazy right now. So I feel for them. It's I have 17 brothers and 8 sisters. They all live around the world. I'm not in contact with them. I only live in a state of one sibling right now. But with that being said, it's just really knowing how I see the children are growing up compared to how we grew up. It's no structure at all.
Right.
So I can't really put that in a poem, but I'm just saying, it's reality. It's something that needs to be addressed. I think we talk about the whole world, but it's like what's happening right here in our community. It's like it's tragic, because I don't see any hope for these kids with what is going on. They're not, so we need to target a certain community and just work on that whole community within, a period of
Right.
time. And once we get that whole community on board with what the changes they need to make, the laws that they can create and come up with, and the structure, then we can move to another community. And with that being said, that's just how we're going to move forward. trying to reach out to people in Washington and people all around the world. And it's just, it works. But then again, it's right where you have to wake up and go to sleep every night is where you really have to target, because outside your door, around the corner, it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's, I think we need to make it more safe and more structured, and be a little bit more on board with each other. Every community is supposed to have, I believe they should have an app where all these people could just sign in and speak to each other about things that's happening in the, on a mature level.
Right.
But yeah, I think that every community is supposed to have its own little app. If you live in a community, you're supposed to have a app, knowing all these, just like Facebook. You have all the you see all these people, and you're able to reach out to them for any concerns. And then once you that will work, because it would be like each one teach one. And when they see the force that this community came out with, and the how it's moving forward, it's in right now, people learn from each other, and a lot of people don't know what to do. So it takes leaders and, positive speakers, and like she said, coach, Miss
Gwen,
Gwendolyn.
yeah,
Yep, Miss
yeah,
Gwen. She's, yeah. It takes a lot of these psychologists, these mentors, teachers, and that's principals, these people, to on their certain days, like it's summertime right now, you should be volunteering, putting all the principals supposed to be coming together, doing things for these children. If they're not
right,
getting them out there, just they're leaving it to us, but they're the ones that's more skilled for it. Parents are not skilled to do, not all parents, I'm not going to say that, but many parents do not have that meant that what you call it, they
yeah,
don't have that thought, on how to
yeah.
do. Or so I think that the community needs that, the all the people, the doctors, the principals, and the coaches and basketball, to come and
Yeah.
do things with the, yeah.
I agree with that, but I also have found value in peer support and
Yeah.
being a peer support. So
Yep.
having lived through my experiences and experiencing, certain reaching a certain point in my healing process, and then being able to go out and work with other people who are right where I was at, and I remember when.
Right. Yep.
And that's like really powerful work. And for me, like when I was going through a lot of my trauma, I found it really hard to connect with people who had it together. And I found an easier time connecting with someone who was approaching me and saying, I remember that. I was you, I feel that, and I have been that. And so it's like there's so much that has to be brought together, and there's so much empowerment that can happen in a community. And like, nurturing and loving ourselves, and sort of insulating ourselves until we feel strong enough to start reaching out within the community and fomenting change. It's really important. Sometimes words don't work, and it's just leading by example, and sometimes
Right.
people need to talk, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you you
Yeah,
writing a poem?
I wanted to let you guys have that exchange.
Oh,
You know, You know, I thought it was, you know, sometimes you just gotta let people, you know, share. Um, this one is called Grinding Through It. Come out wherever you are. Come rock the mic and be a star. Challenge your minds to see the plight. Looking at our lives in lyrical hindsight. Come back to the present, full speed ahead. Bring that old and new that hasn't been read. Leave doubt at home, come free your dome. Poetic recovery is for the unknown. Digging up bones for clues to do, for clues to this ruckus. Instead of being a puppet, dancing for the masses while the stock crashes. Homeless freezes. People dying from diseases.
Nice.
With simple
Yeah.
dough, hope dissipating like gases, I use my flow to welcome back new classes like Carter. Sometimes we gotta barter, work harder, be smarter to rise up and go farther.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
So
Yeah.
I want us to defer to Felicia just a moment because I don't know how much battery power she has left on the phone. Felicia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Alicia.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. How are you? I'm just getting on the tail end and listening to you all speak. I know Maurice had invited me and asked me to share with you all my story, my experience, and my thoughts on a situation that I'm in right now. I am homeless. I've been homeless since September of 2019. The experience has been a very overwhelming experience for me, more so than what I experienced with surviving Hurricane Katrina as well as Hurricane Gustav and a few other hurricanes. I'm in a city that is not my home, okay? Born and raised in Louisiana. I relocated here to Memphis, Tennessee in the fall of 2015, September of 2015. The reason why I came here was at that time I had my children that were here, my grandchildren here, and they saw how it was a struggle and how hard it was for me, as many for other people that had actually survived Katrina, how hard it was for us economically, et cetera, et cetera. And so I came for that reason. And also I just wanted a fresh start. And I was told that the economic growth here in Memphis was better than back home in New Orleans. Well, come to find out that all became a lie. All of it was a lie. When I got here, nothing I was told was as it was told to me. So in September 2019, I found myself being homeless, lost the job that I had because I didn't have the income to remain in my apartment home, to pay for my car, which I had used, a car that I owned, but I needed the money so badly that I got an auto title loan. So let me fast forward. So being that I've lost a job, now I've lost a place to stay, plus I've lost the car. Now, as far as working, yes, I'm among, I call us the invisible ones, because as I go on, I'm going to talk to you some more about how I feel and my experiences and what I'm seeing here where I am, but also in listening to those who are part of the population that came here from other places where they are experiencing the same thing, especially with the pandemic that's going on now, the COVID-19 pandemic, but there's also the pandemic of racism and discrimination, but we've been talking about that. I've listened to you guys talk about that to some degree. But staying on track, the thing here that I see when it comes to being a part of the homeless population and being working low-paying jobs, although you have skills and education and work experience that's beyond the salary you're making. You're taking what you can just to stay alive. And of course, you're coming across people that will take advantage of the situation you're in, and then you come across those people, and there's few of them, that truly and sincerely want to help you. What I call help means a hand up, not a hand out. And I'm finding that being a part of the homeless, because I was guilty of it as well, believing in some of the stereotypes and some of the things that you're told about the homeless people and the homeless population, according to whomever felt that they would be the ones to be the experts on this, stating that a homeless person is homeless because they're lazy or they're on drugs or this or that or the other, and they have this, they don't care. What I am going to say from my experience, and believe me, I've stayed in the shelters, I've stayed in the rooming houses that I found for myself to be unsanitary and unsafe. They're not safe, they're not sanitary at all. They're nothing like what's been told or advertised to you. I've had a few traumatic experiences at the shelters and the rooming houses, which now I understand why most homeless people will not go there. I'm not going to share the traumatic experiences that I had, but I can tell you for certain, I'd rather, burn in the fires of hell than have to go to a shelter or a rooming house ever again with what I experienced. I've lived in low raunchy motels because it was $40 a night. So when I was able to do that with the monies that I had, I'd stay there. I had a budget of what I would eat, how much I would eat, what I could buy, where I can buy. Dollar stores are my best friends. And of course, because I'm without a car, then that means you're using public transportation, so you have to factor all of that in. So I've done it all. I've gone to the shelters, I've gone to the rooming houses, I've stayed in the hotels for weeks. If I was lucky for 2 months, I've stayed in cars, I've stayed in abandoned cars, on the sofa of friends and family members or co-workers or people who were there. Now, this is what I feel from the whole experience, because right now I'm spending a couple of weeks at a co-worker's home because actually she caught me staying in a corner at our work that has the outside door, and I was there, and she came out that morning and she was like, "What are you doing out here?" And, I had to finally tell her what was going on. She was like, "Oh, no, nobody should have to live like this. Nobody, I don't care how bad a situation is. It shouldn't be this, that, and the other." And I spoke to her about it. The churches, went to the different programs and organizations and agencies that are for the TV screens, for the television, for the TV cameras. They're all smiles and talking about how they're helping this one and that one, and they have few people coming on saying about how they changed their life and everything. Only I can tell you this from my experience, none of that was true either. I went to these places, I talked to these people, and what I would get to them is, what I would get from them, and what I do get from them still, talking to social workers or what have you. Well, you don't look like you're homeless. You don't talk like you're homeless. You don't carry yourself like you're homeless. Well, okay, explain to me what a homeless person, what exactly is your definition of a homeless person?
They want you to be mentally messed up and dirty looking.
Oh, absolutely, because that's the stereotype. That's the profile. To which my answer to them always is this. First of all, because before I became homeless, I always took care of myself, my appearance, my hygiene. I'm not uneducated. I'm not mentally ill. I'm not on drugs. I'm not selling my body to anybody, because you know what? You all need to understand, I'm homeless. I'm not hopeless. I'm not helpless. I still have my self-respect, my dignity, and my integrity intact. Being homeless means that you're not socially inadequate. I tell them this, and I get angry when I say it, but they see that I'm serious about it, and it normally silences them all the time. I tell them, being homeless, you all need to understand, put all of that, and please excuse the colorful word I'm about to say, that bullshit and that nonsense that you've been fed and you've been told about homeless people. Homeless does not equal hopeless or socially inadequate. I don't have a social disease. None of us have a social disease. Our misfortune is not contagious, and we're not inhuman. So please stop treating us like that. Stop seeing us like that. And if you want to help, then help, because we're asking for sincere and genuine help to get back on our feet. I'm not coming to you asking you for a handout. I'm asking you for a hand up. Now, are you going to give me that hand up so that I can do, you help me to do what it is that I'm out here fighting to do every day, and that's to stay alive, to survive, and to rise out of my situation. So what I would like to see people to do, especially during this time, because believe me, the population of homeless people and people who are made homeless every single day is increasing.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
And no amount of, these wonderful words, and you said it, all these wonderful words, I know you're going to make it, and, give it to God and give it to Jesus. You know what? God and Jesus I'm quite sure they're wonderful people, they really are. But guess what? God and Jesus is not sleeping on this street tonight. God and Jesus does not have to look behind my back to make sure that I'm not going to be harmed. You understand what I'm saying? God and Jesus need me to do my part too down here. Right. I can't just sit around and wait for some Messiah to come and save me. And that is not just my thinking, but if you sit down and you actually talk to people who are homeless, you will discover that all of those those stereotypes and those profiles, because they are being profiled as well, that all of them are untrue. And I would like for people to understand that, and while you're working on all these other issues and problems that we are facing, that you don't forget about the invisible ones, because that's what it is. That's what it is out here. And where it is everywhere. And I am so tired, not just for myself. I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed, and I'm strained of going through this each and every day. Seeing people, children, men, women, young adults, teenagers, babies, every day on the streets or being threatened with being kicked out on the streets. It doesn't make any sense. And no amount of kind, good intended words is changing anything. I'm a person that says, and I believe in, and I have always said, words are very nice, but actions are even better. Let your actions line up with your words, and then we've got something there. Then we are able to resolve the issues and the conditions that we find ourselves in and that we're dealing with on a daily basis. So words mean nothing to me, but the actions lining up with the words mean everything.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'd like to piggyback on what you're talking about, if that's okay with you.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me, Maurice.
I remember when I was about 19 years old and I was kicked into the streets out of foster care. And one of the reasons why I'm actually doing these open mics is for people who've been abused in foster care, who need to speak and have a place to come and be heard. Man, I don't know if I'm going to talk about it now, but I will at some point. But when I was at my job and the police officers came to my job, and ushered me to the streets. Um, I was like, well, why? And and so it's basically when we talk about like systematic, right? Like the system. One of the things I'm working on doing is learning to understand like poverty, like what it is. One of the things I have with the Community Against Hate Network is getting people to like, work together to help research all this stuff because, we talk about a lot of this stuff, but we truly do not understand a lot of this stuff. Like when we talk about it, we don't really understand it, right? We know that we don't like it, but we don't understand why it exists,
Right.
and so a lot of times we don't want to put our mind to work, right? We get a couple, we get a couple nuggets, right? And then we run with that. And we're like, oh yeah, this, that, and that, right? But if we continue to like actually look at things deeply and connect with other people that are looking at it, we find much more of the story. This poem is called Cultural Missionary. And I'm definitely, waiting for Gwen, you got any more poetry over there?
I actually found one. It's called Mother, and I don't know. I just read it again for the first time in a long time. It's an old one, but it's really relevant right now. But if you, I could read that one. I just have to find it again.
Oh yeah, please take a moment to go find it. We'll be here for you.
No.
This one right here is called Cultural Missionary.
I'd love to hear that one.
This was written 2 years ago. I don't even think I've read it since then. But I invested in my craft, not looks. I got books using knowledge of lifts like forklifts. You buy shoes, I get clues to pay dues and beat the blues with the knowledge I bought, the wisdom I sought. You're in the dark still, wanting kills. I leave the situation, my dedication is to life, into the light. You got bodies in life, regrets and cold nights. I got footprints in the sand, I'm a man. Divine gave me the strength to walk the length of this journey. The future concerns me, so I walk, taking blows that hurt. I give my fair share, I'm there. Movements and businesses. I believe this struggle is worth it. No hater can curse it. No woman can steal it. No man can heal this cultural sanctuary. I'm a cultural missionary.
Interesting.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Maurice.
You're welcome. Gwen, did you find yours yet?
I found it.
Okay, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thank you. So this was written in 2008, and it's called Mother. Mother, lead me to cast my fears afar. Show me all that is good. Remind me of green fields and wildflowers. Rock me in your salty rhythm. Nestle me in your fertile soil. Mother, call me to the light and sing to me by night with harps of cricket's wings. Remind me that despite change, there is predictability in this experience called life. In periods of drought, show me a rainbow. In periods of cold, show me an erupting volcano. In periods of fluctuation and change, remind me of my centers, your centers, my centers. Where change does not occur, Mother, take me to the slow sunset and lead me to a field of stars. I want to be free of fear I want to be freer. I want to be free of not believing.
Thank you.
It's so deep. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you. You wrote that?
I did.
Wow. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I felt every word.
Thank you.
I want to so this past week I had I put out that I want to start using the open mics as a fundraiser, and the funds will go.
Yeah, I saw that.
Excuse me.
I saw that you were doing a little fundraiser. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically, what's gonna happen is that so funds will go to support the work that we're doing and stuff like that. You know, we have a online radio station. You all can check that out. But also started thinking about the people that are actually doing work in the network and stuff like that. Getting so tight with people and stuff like that. You know, and then when I started speaking to Felicia, I was like, damn, I've known her for a while. You know, we need to raise funds for people that are actually in the network doing work and stuff like that. You know, so I would like for us to for the next couple of weeks to help raise funds. One of my ideas is to get 1,000 people to donate $10 a month. You know, now that's a pipe dream. I'm not gonna lie, that's a pipe dream, but I'm shooting for that. But I'm going to post if everybody can share the GoFundMe page. If you can remember
Okay.
GoFundMe.com/Poetic Recovery.
Alicia, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Alicia, thank you so much for sharing.
Hold on, you guys. Before
You're welcome. Thank you all for listening.
Oh, I wanted to ask. I'm sorry. Am I screaming?
No, babe. Go ahead.
I have to take my headphones out. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wanted to ask if she had a Cash App.
Alicia, do you have a Cash App?
Yes, I have a Cash App.
One second, so you can tell me what it is. Go ahead and tell me what it is. It's the $ first, right?
Yes, it's the $ first, and I have to look it up. I'm sorry, I don't know it by
No, you're
heart.
fine, because I have to look mine up too all the time.
Okay, I see it. It's dollar. It's FELICIAWGARY.
Can you say that again, please?
Is any of the letters
dollar? Yes, FELICIAWGARY, all in one word. Felicia W. Gary.
Oh, my sister's name is Felice.
Well, then that means that she's a person.
Right. That's my little sister's name.
I've also placed that in the chat room. Felicia,
okay, thank you.
Felicia, can you look at the chat and see if that's
I can look and see, because I'm actually talking to you guys. A friend of mine let me borrow their tablet so that I can talk to you guys using internet connection on an app called Talkatone.
Okay, so just to make sure, it's Felicia W. Gary.
Yes.
$ Felicia W. Gary. Okay. So that's that's in the chat room, everybody. Also,
okay.
I'm going to put it up on our I'll talk to you about that later, Felicia. Um, I'm
Okay.
I'm going to put into the Poor People's Economic Human Rights Campaign group. Um,
Okay.
you can get some more people to
Yeah.
donate some money to you. All right.
And thank you all very much for listening to my story, not judging me. I appreciate that a lot.
Felicia,
Oh yes, definitely. I've been in the hardships before.
me
I
too.
been misplaced, displaced, so I definitely understand that it was, a few different times throughout my life. So I definitely understand, what I'm saying, and empathize with you. So like you said, the stereotypes, they are just like any other type of thing that can be
Yeah.
stereotyped. People think the worst of you and don't even know what's going on. And then like you said, when you ask for that help and you start talking and they're like, oh, your knowledge and your spirit doesn't match what the outside is supposed to look like.
Right.
Like that has nothing to do with what's going on. I need the help regardless.
They're surprised when you
Right.
can still have a sense of dignity about yourself.
Right.
And you're a warrior. I've been exactly through this. A year ago, it came to an end for me, but it was for 2 years of instability and madness. And so, I feel where you're at completely.
And hearing that and you all saying that, I know because you've been in this situation, you also know that that means a whole lot. That means a whole lot when people actually do say to you, look, I've been there, I know what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
guess what? I get it. I get it. And I know what you're trying to do for yourself, and I know what it is that you want to do once you rise out of the situation. Because I made it a point, and I made a promise and a pledge and to myself and swore to all of the beings that exist in the universe and here on earth and in the heavens that when I rise out of this situation that I've got plans to reach back and help those that I remember because I know I'm feeling what they're going through, and I'm never gonna forget this. I'm not gonna forget this experience. I've seen it.
Right.
I've felt it. I've seen how all these agencies and organizations that say that they're there to help those who are homeless or on the verge of being homeless, how they're not doing that. And also being in a city that has so many different churches. There's churches and bars and barbecue places here or whatever. It's a whole different culture for me. Believe me, it is. And to just be in a city where, you feel like a fish out of water and you see all of these churches and these big mega churches going on and you're saying, okay then, so, why aren't you doing what you say that you all say that you're going to do? Why is it that, you guys come on when the cameras are rolling and you can paint a pretty picture, but once those cameras are off, it's like, well, thanks a lot, bye,
They
here's
going on
$10 or
vacation.
$20 for your
It's
time.
another agenda.
Yeah, go on down
It's another
down the
agenda.
way.
Right.
Exactly.
They politicize it. Yeah.
They going
And
on
they
a
do.
vacation. They
And
going
they do.
it. Go ahead, sorry.
That's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I have a poem. I have a poem that I think might connect to the situation. Alicia?
Yes. Hi. Everybody still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, okay. All right. I want to make sure I didn't lose you.
Everybody got real quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is called In the End. In the end, beautiful reminders, even a dark, hungry hole that eats the hope. Young faces made old, black don't crack, greater folks response to a smile. Love don't hold family back, but when you have none, no one knows. Wrapped in the love of their own, but No one knows these troubled waters, should they? Too many have their own. The curse of it all is there's still this void. At the end of a beautiful service, I walked alone, making sure my head was held high so I appeared that I could hold it all. Truth is, I'm not sure how much more I can take. But as long as I have to, I walk alone to endure what punishment is mine to bear. But to stumble upon happiness, I've learned to keep open to that possibility. Like the ant at the end of the line, I walk alone. Now, hopefully I'll walk in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sums it up, Reese. That sums it up.
Well, we can help you find the help that you need.
Believe me when I say to you that I appreciate any and all help, and sincere and genuine help. Even just people, saying, I get it, I've been there, or I empathize with you, and they really and truly mean it. That means a lot to me. Just someone being kind to me and not saying mean things, because of course I've heard that too. And heard, I remember the last place where I was, because I'm going to share this with you all. The last place where I stayed, it was another little motel or whatever. And the gentleman, I went to the gentleman, I was gifted with at least a week of staying there because I had gone to the hospital. I have some health conditions right now that I'm dealing with. And some serious ones, but I keep going on. I keep pressing on. I don't let that stop me or get me down. Well, the young lady who's a clerk who's studying to be a nurse, when she came in and she asked for my address of where I was staying, because at that time I was living in my storage unit. And the people on the property didn't know that I was there until Easter morning. They had some yahoos that broke in the facility and they locked me inside of my storage unit, and I had to call the cops to let me out. So that's how they knew I was there, and they told me, you can't stay here. And I was, you can have your things here, but you can't stay here. So, I had just finished coming from the hospital that Saturday, and the young lady had given me her phone number and everything and said, I'm serious. I know I can see that you're a strong woman, that you're a proud woman, but please let me help you. Let me, gift you with this in some small way, any kind of way that I can, because I too, at one point, was in the situation that you're in. So she gifted me with a week of being at this particular hotel. And the gentleman there, for whatever reason, he made a statement, he doesn't like homeless people at all, because he feels that we are bane on society. That was his exact word.
Yeah.
And of course, right. I didn't tell him that I was homeless or whatever. What I did was I came to him and I said, look, I have a job. And I did. I had a caregiver job. And, of course, it doesn't pay a lot. Like I said, the only jobs where I'm getting hired are the low-paying jobs, okay? Let's put it like that. But I'm like, well, hey, some money in my pocket is better than no money in my pocket any day. But I did say to him, I said, look, I can't pay what you're asking, but here's what I can do. I said, I can work for my room and board. I understand that somebody just quit on you. You needed you need a housekeeper and someone to work in the laundry room. I will work for my room and board. Then this gentleman says to me, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll do that. I'll talk to my partners about it. And then he comes back to me, about a week later and said, yes, I'll go ahead. I'll give you a try. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay you $7.25 an hour.
Wow.
For working for $7.25, and
wow.
I was doing my caregiver job because of the COVID-19 situation or whatever. My hours and days were deducted drastically to where I was working 2 days out of the week. But this was a 101-year-old lady that took a shine to me. I took a shine to her. She had nobody. So, hey, I went in, did that, and then after that, I would come in and work cleaning up those rooms and everything with another coworker who I friended, and this was 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. And after 2 months of working for this gentleman for my room and board, all of a sudden, he decided that he no longer needed me to be there. He said, hey, I don't want you here. And I said, and you're going to pay me $280 a week. I said, I don't have that kind of money, and you know that. And I said, and you haven't paid me for the work I've done. And he had said, well, you pay the $280 or you have to check out. And so, well, you know what that was, what ended up happening. And I spoke to the police to try to find out what my rights were with everything going on. And they said, well, hon, at this point, what you can do is do a civil lawsuit against him. He made an agreement with you. You kept your part of the agreement. So, yes, he does. He, by right, he should. But, yeah, I think, this was by 2 officers who came in that I had called quietly. And they had said, that's what we're suggesting that you do. We can't tell you what to do, but we're suggesting this. So, I was like, you know what, this is just too much. You've got people out here who will take advantage of people who are in these situations that are, and for him to say what he said about homeless people, because along that whole little block, which was full of hotels, there were plenty of homeless people, and many of them, they were like, look, I'll work for this, that, and the other. I'll work for my meal. They would go to the gas stations or whatever. And some were kind. Like I said, some people were kind. Very few were very kind, but many of them were very mean. And when he said that, and I just looked at him, I was like, are you really saying this? He meant it. He meant, I don't like homeless people because I feel that they are the bane of society. He went through that whole list of stereotypes and profiles about homeless people, and I'm standing up here listening to him, and I'm going to, well, you know what? Then, I just broke every last one of those stereotypes that you just had, because I'm nothing like what you described.
Right.
And how dare you, talk about other human beings like this and treat other human beings like this. So I'm saying all this because I want you all to know that I am very appreciative and grateful to anyone and everyone who's saying, I get it, and I'm here to give you a hand up.
Yeah.
Because I see what you're doing and what you're trying to do. So I need to let you all know that. And then also, I hope that with me sharing my story, my experience, just like you all, it's going to help somebody else. It's going to make somebody change their view or their mind about the homeless population and anybody else, who they might have these little stereotypes about or have a certain profile that they've developed in their minds about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's really frustrating.
That staff,
it's really frustrating.
The staff inside the shelter is the worst. I can relate to everything you're saying. They're not trained. They treat you anyhow, and it's like straight across the board. It's like they look down on you, and do not know what situation you're coming from. Or my situation was, I didn't have my green card, so I was in there for 3.5 years with my son, and I went to school the whole time. And it was hard. It was really hard, but I made it, So last July 1st was the first time I was able to be in my own apartment with my son, and it felt so, and I know it's traumatizing to him because he's 10 years old now. So, but we went to school every day. I went to school and I worked with the mayor and the councilwoman, and I did a lot of things in the community and with the school, and I kept busy. I just kept busy because I was not getting sucked into any mental stress that they was about to put me through, and it did, like I said, it, no matter how you try to fight it, it still take a toll on you, because I still lay here sometimes and I still feel like I have to get up to check the doors, or I have to get up to,
Oh yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like always
Absolutely.
right, panicky
Yeah.
about things. So it's hard. It's
Yeah.
trauma. It takes a lot of strong
It's a
people
lot.
to overcome these things. And I commend you for your strength. You sound very positive, and
Yeah.
I do wish you the best with your health, because I know that that's first and foremost. So but yeah, the system is just like, just before you came on, we were just talking about how the system is definitely designed to stress you out and bring you down. It just keep you down. So yeah, with the tools and the resources now that is out there, it's no way we could not be, we would not be able to help each other. It just takes just one, each one to know one. And like thank you, Maurice, for having this, because it's really a good thing for her to be able to, us, for me too, mentally, to be able to be here and
Me
express all
too.
of these concerns with a community who is having the same challenges.
Well, I will, I
Yeah.
will, I will give you all a challenge. We'll be here next Friday. Invite 5 people. Invite five
Okay.
people. Um, Share your poetry and poetic recovery on Facebook. I'm working on creating a, um, a Google platform as well. Um,
Okay.
but um, come into the group, share your poetry, post up. All original works has to be your work, not other people's, right? If you don't write poetry,
Right.
go into the group and read other people's work and share it, right? Share the work that they post in the group. Um, the reason for this, the reason for poetic recovery is to create a healing space, get people who have so much inside them to write it out. Because, once you start writing that stuff out, you're looking at that stuff, right? You're like coming to terms with it. You're coming to terms with yourself, right? And
Resetting.
it creates a sense of strength over time, right? And it allows us over time to also look at the truth as well. You know what I'm saying? So we have a radio station. You can hear it at poeticrecovery.net. Depending on where you're going to and like what your Wi-Fi signal is, it's going to come in different for different people. But we're raising funds for that. We're working on getting an unlimited account, because we have people coming from Africa and stuff like that who are supporting um, systematic change throughout the world. Because like when you were saying, Samantha, that we have to look at ourselves, look at our local space. Well, the thing about it is, like, the issues in our local space is because of the issues around the world. If we go back and we look at history and how this stuff was created and how local policy is affected by international policy, there's a loop in that, right? So, like, once we started, doing the local work and connecting globally, right, we can affect a lot of
Yeah.
change. So, you know,
Mhm.
so I just want to invite you guys to, get connected, get involved. You know what I'm saying? We have different groups open for people who want to do different stuff, connect with people. And Samantha, I just want to say you have a very strong voice. Um,
Thank you.
your pulses on what's going on. And I like that idea that you're saying, like, have counselors come in and, talk to people and they got, like, pick them out leave the protest. But I was thinking, like, rather than leave the protest, why not walk with them in the protest? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. I
Um,
feel you. Remember when you met me, I was in the shelter with my son.
oh yeah, and like,
Yeah. And that's all I was focusing on was the youth, the schools and how we can get a youth rally. And I was, it's for because it really affects me, having to see them go through what they go through. I Many of them talk to me. I'm in commute with a lot of them that is going through a lot. And I've actually, in the last, I want to say, year, saved two of them from killing themselves. Like, and it hurts me to see that they go through the things they go through, from all ages. And they go through it so young and don't even understand, because the stereotype that's out there, it's really changing them, mentally and physically. So yeah, I root for the youth. That's my fight for to help them, with in any way. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Very
I'm
much.
right with that. Yeah.
Well, it's going on 11:54,
Oh wow,
and if nobody,
it's
Maurice,
just getting good.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to sign out.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to just
Good speaking with you, Gwen.
thank you so much
Thank
just
you
for
very
being
much.
who you are
It was
and
very
where
nice
you're at.
to you all online. Being able to
Yes.
talk to you all, this really was great for me,
Yes.
because actually speaking to you all has made me feel a lot better. Because
Thank you.
I've really been depressed in the past few days. So being able to talk to you all and you all sharing, with me, and like I said, not judging and saying, I get it, been there,
Yeah.
done that, got it. And,
Yeah.
I just get it. I hear you and I'm listening to you.
You will be okay. Trust me, you will be more than okay. You'll be all right. Um, you just have to always, it's the power of thought, and you have that power to think positive. So
Right.
and
And
Thank you
thank
so
you
Felicia,
much.
all very much.
like I said, I'm not gonna
Thank
stop.
you.
This is just the beginning.
yes, we're here. I'm here. I'll be in contact with you guys soon. Stay safe. Be well.
Hey, is that Samantha speaking?
Yes.
Thank you.
All too.
It's good to hear your voice again.
It's good to speak
Thank
to
you
you
all,
too.
and you all have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you, Dominica.
Thank you for the uplift.
Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
And like I said, Felicia, this is the beginning.
All right. Uh, all right. I'm here. I'm ready.
Alrighty.
And the
Okay.
healing begins.
Thank you, Samantha. Oh, by the way, you know what I wanted to tell you?
Yeah.
I had got some what's that called? Some the moss.
You got it?
Yeah, I used some like a while ago. What's it called? The sea moss.
Irish sea moss, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That's good.
yeah. I was like, you know what? I started looking at him a lot more, and just started.
Haven't you and when you tried it, how many days did you try it for?
I mean, I tried it for as much as I had.
And
So
when it while you was on it, haven't you didn't you feel a clarity?
I ain't gonna be honest with you. I didn't real feel much change. I think it's one of those things where I have to do it a while, and I just
Okay.
didn't have the money to continue it.
Okay, well you could get the capsules. You
Um,
could just get the capsules, the sea moss capsules.
yeah,
And it's through Dr. Sebi,
yeah.
and you just and just get the capsules, and it works because I have the capsules and they are awesome.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm
but
gonna hit
I
you.
appreciate your time. So
Likewise.
message me if anything. I'm here.
Appreciate yours. Likewise. Hit me up.
All right.
All
Bless.
right.
Have a good
Congratulations.
night, everyone.
Congratulations on your successes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Monica, you got any words?
You said what?
You got any last words?
Um, yeah, I have a poem for next week. I found one that I wrote after we talked that one day to try to get back started writing. I did write a little something, so I have found it, so I'll be ready for next week.
All right. And invite some people.
Yeah, I did. I got my son right here because he does music and his little art stuff, so I told him, and he was right here. So I told him about what you told me in the invites and how you do it every week. So he said that he seemed like he was interested, but I'll extend the offer to some additional parties.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're definitely welcome.
I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you have a good weekend and a good week to come.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
And be safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
All right, later.
Wendy, you still there? All right. Well, everybody, I want to thank everyone, for tuning in from where you all are at. This is Maurice Taylor. I gotta figure out how to. Let me stop the live stream. Did I do that? Okay. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Poetic Recovery, our live open mic. We had some really amazing discussions, which generally happens when there's just, a small group of us. We had, Felicia come in and talk about her experience with being homeless right now. It's very sobering. So we're going to be working on getting her some support for the coming weeks. So yeah, I'm just thinking about her story. In fact, she's homeless and she took time to be on our open mic tonight. That was amazing. So we're going to look to help raise our funds. We're raising funds to broaden our radio station, to get voices in Africa, expand it right here in America, Canada, Senegal, so you can be heard. You have conscious artists that want to be heard, want to promote their work. This is the place to do it, right? Everyday people, right? You know what I'm saying? Some people want the riches, other people want the freedom. So keep your head up. Thank you all out there who are listening, chiming in. Come next Friday, all right? You can join Poetic Recovery on Facebook. You join Poetic Recovery Open Mic, the page. Check the invites. You need to check the events and you get the information. Check our website, poeticrecovery.net. Listen to the independent artists that we have that support our platform. Let's keep rising together. Peace.